every single one of you. We'd love to know, what part of the world are you watching from right now? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story. The Seattle rain drummed against the windows of the modern hillside home as Zachary Aguirre's Tesla pulled into the driveway at 2 p.m. His environmental conference in Portland wasn't supposed to end until tomorrow, but something in his gut had urged him to return early. The house's security panel blinked with an unusual pattern of entries. His cousin David's access code had been used multiple times over the past week. Zach's fingers tightened around his briefcase as he entered through the garage. The security cameras tracked his movement through the house, their red lights blinking steadily as they recorded what was about to unfold. The sound of wheels rolling across hardwood floors drew him toward the master bedroom. His wife of 8 years, Gabriella Fink, stood amid a scatter of designer clothes, methodically packing 3 Louis Vuitton suitcases. A new diamond bracelet glinted on her wrist, one he hadn't bought her. She didn't even flinch when she saw him in the doorway. "What's going on, Gabby?" Zach kept his voice level, though his mind was already assembling the pieces of a puzzle he'd refused to see. Gabriella's perfectly made-up face twisted into an expression that mixed relief with unmistakable spite. "Oh good, you're home early. Saves me having to leave a note." She continued, folding a silk blouse with deliberate care. "Time you learned the truth, darling." "And what truth would that be?" Zach remained in the doorway, his presence filling the frame. She laughed, a harsh sound nothing like the warm chuckle he'd once loved. "Those business trips your cousin David took you on? They weren't for work. They were our romantic getaways. 8 months of them, to be exact." Her hand drifted to her stomach. "And now we're moving to Paris. I'm pregnant with his baby." The words hit like physical blows, but Zach's face remained impassive. Years of high-stakes business negotiations had taught him to mask his reactions. "I see. And I suppose David arranged all this?" "Oh no, darling. Your parents did." Gabriella's smile turned cruel as she reached into her purse and pulled out 2 first-class tickets to Paris, tossing them onto their king-size bed. "They've always loved David more than you, you know. Who do you think funded our little adventures? That precious family inheritance you're so proud of?" Zach's phone buzzed, a message from his assistant Kayla Harper. "Sir, you need to see this. Urgent irregularities in the company accounts." "Nothing to say?" Gabriella taunted, sliding another designer dress into a suitcase. The great Zachary Aguirre, speechless at last? "David said you'd probably just stand there, trying to look strong." "He knows you so well." "Better than you might think," Zach replied coldly, noting how she flinched at his tone. His eyes caught movement on one of the security camera feeds visible on his phone. Gabriella was texting frantically, likely to David. As she zipped up the final suitcase, something fluttered to the floor, a folded paper that landed face up. An ultrasound image. Zach's banking app chose that moment to light up with notifications. Large transfers from family accounts, movements of money he hadn't authorized. "Did my parents help you pack too?" he asked, his voice dripping with quiet menace. "Or was that all David's doing?" Gabriella's composure cracked slightly. "Your mother helped me choose the apartment in Paris. Said it was the least she could do for the woman carrying her real favorite son's child." She lifted her chin defiantly. "David's everything you're not: passionate, spontaneous, alive. He doesn't hide behind spreadsheets and environmental regulations. No, he just hides behind my name while he fucks my wife," Zach stated flatly, watching her confident facade waver. "Tell me, does his wife Michelle know about your little Parisian dreams? Or is she too busy with her board member duties at my company to notice?" Color drained from Gabriella's face. "How did you know about Michelle?" "I know everything about my company, Gabriella. Everything." He stepped aside from the doorway. "You should hurry. I'm sure David's waiting somewhere nearby, probably practicing his concerned cousin act." "You can't stop us," Gabriella snapped, attempting to wheel the first suitcase past him. "Your parents have arranged everything. By this time tomorrow, we'll be starting our new life, and you'll be alone with your precious company and your environmental crusade." Zach smiled then, a cold expression that made her step back involuntarily. "We'll see about that. Give my regards to David." "And Gabriella?" He caught her arm as she tried to brush past him, his grip firm but not rough. That bracelet he gave you? It was bought with stolen money. I'd hold on to it. You might need to sell it sooner than you think. He released her, watching as she hurried down the hallway with her suitcases, her confident stride now more of a retreat. The security cameras caught her every movement, just as they had recorded everything else. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Kayla, this one with attached financial documents. Zach waited until he heard the front door close before pulling out his phone. Kayla? Book me a suite at the Four Seasons. And get me everything you can find on David's travel expenses for the past year. Everything. The rain continued to drum against the windows as he surveyed the bedroom, mind already formulating plans. They thought they knew him. His wife, his cousin, even his parents. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The Four Seasons presidential suite transformed into a war room within hours. Dual monitors displayed financial records, while stacks of documents covered the mahogany desk. Zach's jacket hung forgotten on a chair as he sorted through years of carefully orchestrated deception. Mr. Aguirre? Violet Dawson, the company's senior accountant, closed the suite's door behind her. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched a thick manila envelope. What I'm about to show you. It could cost me my position. Your loyalty won't be forgotten, Violet. Zach gestured to the chair across from him. Tell me everything. She spread documents across the desk, pointing to highlighted sections. David's been clever, but he got sloppy recently. These travel expenses? He claimed $2.3 million over 18 months. The documentation looks perfect, except she pulled out a series of receipts. The timestamps. He supposedly attended an environmental conference in Vancouver while simultaneously dining at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Paris. Zach's eyes narrowed as he examined the forged signatures. My own name. He's gotten better at copying it. There's more. Violet's voice dropped. The Paris apartment? He used company resources, setting up shell corporations to hide the purchase. And these environmental compliance reports? She tapped another folder. Complete fabrications. If the EPA discovers this... A knock interrupted them. Lawrence Hart, the private investigator Zach had hired, entered with a USB drive. You'll want to see this, Mr. Aguirre. Your cousin's been busy. The surveillance photos appeared on screen. David entering high-end hotels with various women, Gabriella visiting a fertility clinic months ago, and most damning, Richard and Marina Aguirre, Zach's parents, transferring artwork to a private storage facility. Zach's phone lit up with a text from Marla Petty, Gabriella's sister. We need to talk. Not over the phone. Continue, he instructed Violet while messaging Marla to meet him. The accountant pulled up offshore account records. The Cayman Islands transfers are sophisticated. Someone with legal expertise helped set these up. Troy Poole, Zach muttered. My parents' lawyer. Keep going. Lawrence clicked through more photos. Your cousin's got quite the hidden life. Wife and 2 kids in Vancouver. Pregnant girlfriend in Los Angeles. Ex-wife and child in Chicago. He's been playing quite the field. Sir? Zach's assistant Kayla entered with a tablet. Marla Petty is downstairs. And there's something else you need to see. Before she could continue, Violet gasped at her screen. Mr. Aguirre, these patent applications? David's trying to steal your environmental cleanup technology. He's filed paperwork in France under one of his shell companies. The suite's phone rang, the lobby announcing Marla's arrival. Zach straightened his tie. Kayla, escort Ms. Petty up. Violet, compile everything on those patents. Lawrence, I want detailed files on each of David's families. It's time we heard what Gabriella's sister has to say. Marla Petty entered, looking nothing like her usual polished self. Her designer outfit was wrinkled, her makeup smeared. Zach, I can't keep quiet anymore. Sit. He commanded softly. Start from the beginning. Your parents' anniversary party, she stammered. That's when it started. I saw them, David and Gabriella, in the garden. He was telling her how your parents always wished he was their son instead of you. Her hands twisted in her lap. They used my beach house for their meetings. I tried to talk her out of it, but your parents... They kept arranging these private dinners for them. Troy Poole's involvement? Zach prompted. He helped hide the money transfers. Said it was all legal, just family estate planning. But last week, she pulled out her phone, showing texts. Gabriella told me she's not even sure the baby is David's. She was seeing her personal trainer too. Kayla interrupted gently. Sir, the board is calling an emergency meeting. Michelle Wilson, David's wife. She's starting to ask questions about the European contracts. Zach stood, his expression hardening. Marla, you'll sign a formal statement. Everything you've told us. It wasn't a question. Violet, prepare those financial records for the board. Lawrence, give me everything you can on that personal trainer. What are you going to do? Marla asked, her voice small. Your sister and my cousin thought they were writing a love story. Zach's smile was sharp as broken glass. They're about to discover it's a tragedy. He turned to Kayla. Get me Francis Valenzuela on the phone. It's time we brought in our lawyers. The pieces were falling into place, each revelation fitting into a larger pattern of betrayal. Outside the suite's windows, Seattle's skyline glittered in the rain, unaware that one of its most prominent families was about to implode. One more thing, Lawrence added, pulling up a final photo. Your parents were seen at their bank this morning. They're trying to liquidate the family estate. Perfect. Zach studied the image of his parents hurrying from the bank's private entrance. They've always underestimated me. Time to show them exactly who they've betrayed. The emergency board meeting at Aguirre Environmental Solutions buzzed with tension. Executives shifted uneasily in their leather chairs as Michelle Wilson, David's unsuspecting wife, studied the quarterly reports with growing concern. These European contracts, Michelle tapped the document. The cleanup protocols don't match our standard procedures. And the testing data, she glanced at Zach. None of this has gone through proper EPA validation. Before Zach could respond, his phone silently displayed a message from Francis Valenzuela. EPA auditors are on their way. Anonymous tip about fraudulent environmental reports. Should reach the office in 20 minutes. Mrs. Wilson, Zach addressed Michelle formally, noting how her professional demeanor contrasted sharply with the surveillance photos Lawrence had shown him. Perhaps we should discuss the Paris operations in detail. Specifically, the technology patents recently filed there. Michelle frowned. Paris operations? We don't have any. Her voice trailed off as Zach's assistant Kayla distributed new folders to each board member. These documents outline systematic fraud, patent theft, and environmental violations, Zach announced, standing at the head of the table. All traced back to our European operations director. But that's David's position. Michelle's face paled as she opened her folder. This must be a mistake. The boardroom doors burst open as EPA officials strode in, led by Chief Investigator Sarah Chun. Mr. Aguirre, we have a warrant to examine all environmental compliance records. Of course, Zach gestured to Violet, who wheeled in a cart loaded with files. We've been conducting our own internal investigation. You'll find everything organized chronologically. Michelle stood abruptly, documents scattered across the table. I don't understand. These bank statements, these properties in Paris. Her hands trembled as she read further. A fertility clinic? Mrs. Wilson, Zach's voice carried genuine sympathy. There's more you need to know. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. A commotion outside drew their attention. Through the glass walls, they watched David stride through the office, his usual confident smile faltering as he spotted the EPA agents. Perfect timing, Zach muttered, then louder, Chief Chun, you'll find the falsified reports in David Aguirre's office, along with evidence of how environmental cleanup funds were diverted to personal accounts. David froze in the doorway, his face draining of color as he saw Michelle holding the incriminating documents. Michelle, darling, I can explain. Explain what? Michelle's voice turned arctic. The stolen patents? The missing millions? Or perhaps your pregnant mistress moving to Paris? The elevator dinged, revealing Zach's parents, Richard and Marina Aguirre. Their expressions shifted from determination to shock as they took in the scene. Mom, Dad, Zach greeted them coldly. Here to transfer more assets to David's Paris love nest? You don't understand. Marina stepped forward, her socially perfect mask cracking. David has vision for the company's future. He'd take us international, while you waste time with local cleanup projects. Richard placed a restraining hand on his wife's arm. Son, we can explain everything. The money transfers were just temporary. Save it for the federal investigators. Zach cut him off. They're particularly interested in how company funds ended up in personal Cayman accounts. You can't prove anything, David snarled, his charming facade evaporating. Those patents are mine. I did all the work while you played environmentalist hero. Actually, Violet spoke up, her earlier nervousness replaced by cold precision. I have documentation proving Mr. Zachary Aguirre developed those cleanup protocols, including dated research notes and prototype testing data. Michelle slapped David hard across the face, her wedding ring leaving a mark. You bastard. All those business trips, while I sat on this board, helping you steal from your own family. Mrs. Wilson, Frances Valenzuela entered smoothly, elegant in her tailored suit. As the company's legal counsel, I should inform you that as an unknowing board member, you're protected from personal liability. However, she turned to David and the elder Aguirres. Others aren't so fortunate. The EPA agents emerged from David's office, carrying boxes of evidence. Sarah Chin approached with handcuffs. David Aguirre, you're under arrest for environmental violations and fraud. You can't do this, Marina protested. Richard, do something. But Richard Aguirre stood frozen, watching his empire crumble. Years of privileging his nephew over his son had finally backfired. Zach's phone buzzed with a text from Lawrence. Gabriella spotted leaving fertility clinic. DNA test results confirm. Baby isn't David's. One more thing, Zach addressed the stunned boardroom. Effective immediately, I'm freezing all executive accounts pending investigation. That includes family assets potentially tied to these crimes. David struggled as the agents cuffed him. You've ruined everything. Gabriella and I had plans. Yes, Zach smiled without warmth. You did. Send my wife a message, would you? Tell her Paris is lovely this time of year. From inside a prison cell, the board members sat in shocked silence as David was led away. Michelle's quiet sobs the only sound. Marina clutched Richard's arm, their social standing evaporating with each passing second. Kayla, Zach turned to his assistant, contact our major clients. They'll want reassurance about their contracts. Violet, work with the EPA on those compliance records. He gathered his papers, adding quietly, and someone get Mrs. Wilson a car home. The sun set over Seattle's skyline, casting long shadows through the boardroom windows. In a single afternoon, generations of family loyalty had shattered, leaving only the cold truth of betrayal in its wake. Frances Valenzuela's corner office at Seattle's top law firm overlooked the stormy Puget Sound. The senior partner arranged documents across her desk as Zach studied the preliminary legal strategy. Our forensic accountants found something interesting in the prenup. Frances highlighted a section. Gabriella modified critical pages after signing. The document filed with the court doesn't match your original copy. Troy Poole's handiwork? Definitely. He didn't expect you to keep the original in your private vault. Frances pulled up offshore banking records. The tax evasion angle is even better. David and your parents created a complex network of shell companies. Each transfer to these Cayman accounts violated federal law. Kayla entered with a stack of sealed envelopes. The loyalty agreements are ready for key employees to sign. IT has implemented the new recording protocols in all offices and conference rooms. Excellent. Zach reviewed the employee list. What's the status on the board members? Janet Chun and Marcus Rodriguez have confirmed their support. They're furious about the patent theft. Kayla handed him another document. The media strategy is ready too. We've lined up exclusive interviews with selected reporters. They'll run the story our way when the time comes. Frances's phone buzzed. The environmental violations report just came in. David falsified data on 12 major cleanup sites. We can file lawsuits in multiple jurisdictions. Sir? Violet Dawson appeared at the door. You need to see this. She placed a laptop before them. David's applying for an expedited French business visa. He's claiming to represent our company's European division. Zach smiled coldly. Perfect. Frances, contact our lawyers in Paris. Time to shut down his escape route. There's more. Violet hesitated. The stock is starting to drop. Rumors about EPA investigations are leaking. Let it fall. Zach studied the trading data. We'll buy back shares at a discount once this is over. He turned to Kayla. How's our disinformation campaign? Working perfectly. David believes we're focusing solely on the patent theft. He has no idea about the tax evasion evidence. Francis organized documents into separate files. I've prepared lawsuits for each jurisdiction. The moment we strike, he'll be fighting legal battles on multiple fronts. What about his other families? Zach asked. The Vancouver wife hired a divorce attorney this morning, Kayla reported. The Los Angeles girlfriend is demanding a paternity test. His Chicago ex-wife is reopening their custody agreement. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Aguirre? Michelle Wilson is here. Show her in. Zach straightened his tie. Francis, stay. Everyone else, give us the room. Michelle entered, her usual board member confidence replaced by controlled fury. I've been reviewing the company records. The scope of David's fraud. How much did you know? I discovered it the same day you did. Zach gestured to a chair. Michelle, what I'm about to show you goes beyond corporate theft. He nodded to Francis, who slid across photos of David with various women. Michelle's hands trembled as she studied the images. All this time, while I defended him to the board, we need your support, Zach leaned forward. The company's facing multiple environmental violations. David's actions put every contract at risk. What do you need? Vote with me to remove him as European Operations Director. Support the emergency board measures we'll implement. Michelle's expression hardened. Do better than that. Make him pay for every lie. That's the plan. Zach shared a look with Francis. But first, we need to secure the company's future. Your public support sends a message to other board members. Done. Michelle stood, smoothing her skirt. And Zach? When you take him down, I want a front row seat. After she left, Francis updated their timeline. EPA notifications are ready. Once we file these reports. No, Zach interrupted. Let David proceed with his visa application. Let him think he's winning. He pulled up surveillance photos of his parents shredding documents. When we strike, we take them all down at once. Kayla returned with urgent news. Sir, Gabriella's fertility clinic records arrived. The timeline. It's not what she claimed. Save it. Zach waved her off. That's ammunition for later. Right now, focus on the corporate angle. Let's see how many crimes my dear cousin commits while thinking he's untouchable. The afternoon sun broke through Seattle's clouds, casting long shadows across Francis's office. In the distance, the Aguirre Environmental Solutions building stood as a testament to generations of family legacy. A legacy Zach would reclaim, one calculated move at a time. One last thing, Francis added. Your parents' attempt to liquidate the estate? I've filed injunctions in 3 states. They won't transfer another penny without court approval. Zach nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. They taught me that family means everything. Time to show them exactly what that lesson cost. The EPA raid started precisely at 9 a.m. Sarah Chon led a team of investigators through Aguirre Environmental Solutions European Division, their badges glinting under fluorescent lights. David's secretary watched in horror as they seized his computers and files. Mr. Aguirre, Agent Chun held up a stack of falsified reports. Care to explain these contamination readings? David maintained his practiced charm, straightening his Italian silk tie. Surely there's been a mistake. These reports were all properly verified. By whom? Sarah cut him off, sliding a document across his desk. Because Dr. Jensen, whose signature appears here, died 3 months before this certification date. The emergency board meeting convened simultaneously on the executive floor. Zach sat quietly as Michelle Wilson presented their findings. The Paris apartment purchase, Michelle's voice carried through the boardroom, was funded by embezzled cleanup grants. Money intended for toxic waste removal in 3 communities. Board member Marcus Rodriguez slammed his hand on the table. Our stock dropped 30% this morning. Clients are demanding criminal investigations. It gets worse. Janet Chen, head of Asian operations, pulled up financial records. David diverted environmental testing funds to personal accounts. Every major contract from the past year requires recertification. The boardroom doors burst open as EPA agents escorted David inside. His smug expression crumbled at the sight of extensive documentation spread across the conference table. "I can explain everything," David began, but Michelle silenced him with a withering glare. "Explain what?" She projected photos onto the screen. "Your falsified permits? The stolen patents? Or perhaps your pregnant girlfriend in Los Angeles would like to hear about your wife in Vancouver." Lawrence Hart chose that moment to enter, passing USB drives to each board member. "Latest surveillance confirms money transfers to 6 separate accounts. And this morning's footage of your parents removing artwork from their estate." David's face contorted with rage. "You orchestrated this, didn't you, cousin? Couldn't stand that Uncle Richard and Aunt Marina preferred me?" "Actually," Violet Dawson stepped forward, "Mr. Zachary Aguirre was in Portland when we uncovered your fraud. Your own arrogance led us here." Emergency alerts flashed across everyone's phones. Aguirre Environmental Solutions stock had plummeted another 20%. Trading would be halted within minutes. "The media's outside," Kayla announced. "They're requesting statements about the EPA raid and the patent theft allegations." David lunged for his phone, but Sarah Chun intercepted it. "That device is now evidence in a federal investigation." "Evidence of what?" David sneered. "Wire fraud, environmental violations, tax evasion." Francis Valenzuela entered, legal documents in hand. "Would you like the complete list?" The elevator dinged, revealing Marla Petty with 2 federal agents. Her designer outfit couldn't hide her distress. "I've given my official statement about the beach house meetings." "About everything." "You bitch," David snarled. "We had an agreement." "Like your agreement with my sister?" Marla's voice dripped contempt. The paternity test results arrived. Interesting timing, considering Gabriella's visits to her personal trainer. Michelle scrolled through her tablet, eyes widening. "The Paris apartment's been seized by French authorities. Something about irregular visa applications and fraudulent business credentials." "You've lost everything," Zach finally spoke, his quiet tone carrying more impact than David's outbursts. "The patents, the money, the escape plan. Even your son isn't yours." David's composure shattered. "Uncle Richard will never let you." "Your precious uncle and aunt are currently explaining to federal investigators why they helped launder money through their charitable foundation." Francis smiled without warmth. They seemed quite distressed about the social implications. The board voted unanimously to remove David from all positions. As security escorted him out, Michelle blocked his path. 15 years of marriage," she hissed. "Every business trip, every late meeting. You were building your harem while I defended you to the board." Sarah Chun stepped forward with handcuffs. "David Aguirre, you're under arrest for environmental violations, wire fraud, and multiple counts of financial crimes." Through the boardroom's glass walls, they watched reporters surging forward as David was led to a waiting federal vehicle. Camera flashes captured his downfall for tomorrow's headlines. "Sir," Kayla approached Zach. "Gabriella's on the line. She's hysterical about her Swiss accounts being frozen." "Let her panic." Zach gathered his documents. "Francis, proceed with Phase 3. "Already done." Francis projected new information. "David's other families have been contacted. They're filing joint lawsuits." "And your parents' reputation." She pulled up social media coverage. "Let's just say their charity board positions are in jeopardy." The sun set over Seattle's skyline as Zach surveyed the aftermath. In a single day, he'd dismantled years of betrayal. His phone buzzed with a text from Lawrence. Gabriella's trainer confirmed everything. "Want me to release the evidence?" "Not yet," Zach replied. "Save something for tomorrow." They thought they were playing chess while I was playing war. The federal indictment landed like a bombshell across Seattle's business community. Richard and Marina Aguirre's carefully crafted social empire crumbled as their phones exploded with cancellations for their annual charity gala. "Marina, darling." Margaret Whitmore, chair of the symphony board, voice dripped with fake concern through the speakerphone. "In light of recent unpleasantness, perhaps you should step down from the fundraising committee." Marina clutched her Hermes scarf, knuckles white. But I've chaired that committee for 20 years. Yes, well, Margaret paused delicately. The FBI investigating your family's charitable foundation makes things rather awkward. Across town, David paced his holding cell while his attorney delivered more devastating news. The environmental licenses for all 12 sites have been suspended, the lawyer explained. The EPA's findings triggered automatic contract terminations. Major clients are filing lawsuits. What about my immunity deal? David demanded. Rejected. The prosecutors have too much evidence. Your parents' testimony alone. David slammed his fist against the wall. They talked. They're facing federal charges themselves. The money laundering scheme through their foundation. At Aguirre Environmental Solutions, the crisis management team worked through the night. Violet Dawson's analysis painted a grim picture. Client contracts worth $300 million are in jeopardy, she reported to the Emergency Executive Committee. The environmental violations have triggered penalty clauses. Janet Chen studied the Asian market reports. Our Pacific Rim partners are threatening to pull out. The stock's in free fall. What about the European division? Marcus Rodriguez asked. In chaos, Michelle Wilson replied, her voice steady despite her own personal turmoil. The French authorities have frozen all assets connected to the Paris operation. The stolen patent applications have compromised our technology licenses. Zach's phone lit up with an urgent message from Lawrence Hart. Gabriella's trainer talked. Sending video evidence now. The footage played on the boardroom screen. Gabriella entering the upscale gym at odd hours, emerging disheveled with a muscular trainer named Derek. Timestamps matched precisely with David's business trips. Release it, Zach instructed. Let's see how David handles this revelation from his cell. Francis Valenzuela entered with fresh documents. The other families are coordinating their lawsuits. David's Vancouver wife has gone public with her story. The Los Angeles girlfriend sold her exclusive to TMZ. Your parents are here, Kayla announced quietly. Richard and Marina Aguirre had aged decades in days. Their designer clothes couldn't mask their desperation. Son, Richard began, we can explain. Explain what? Zach's voice cut like steel. How you funded their affair. Or how you helped David steal company patents while laundering money through your charitable foundation. We only wanted what was best for the company, Marina pleaded. David had such vision. Vision? Zach projected surveillance photos across his office screens. Here's your visionary, mother. These women, these families he abandoned. The community's left with toxic waste because he stole cleanup funds. This is who you betrayed me for. The foundation board is meeting tonight, Richard said quietly. They're voting to remove us. They already have. Zach showed them his tablet. Your social empire's finished. The charity boards, the symphony committees, the museum trustees. They've all voted you out. Marina collapsed into a chair, her perfect composure finally breaking. Where will we go? What will people say? You should have thought of that before using foundation money to fund your nephew's Paris love nest. The intercom buzzed. Sir? Gabriella's personal trainer Derek is here with his attorney. He's willing to testify about their relationship. Richard's face crumpled. David's baby isn't his, Zach completed. Another lie you funded with stolen money. Security footage showed Gabriella arriving at the building, demanding entrance. Her Chanel suit couldn't hide her panic as she learned her gym lover had confessed everything. Your prenup fraud scheme failed, Francis informed the elder Aguirres. The original document survived. Between that and the foundation's illegal transfers, you're facing serious prison time. Prison? Marina whispered in horror. Did you think betrayal would be comfortable, mother? Lawrence Hart's final report arrived. David's other families had formed a support group, sharing evidence of his deceptions. Their combined testimonies would ensure maximum sentences. The company leadership is in crisis, Violet reported. Environmental licenses suspended, contracts frozen. The reputation damage is exactly what they deserve. Michelle Wilson entered, her boardroom authority restored. Let them learn what betrayal costs. Zach surveyed the ruins of his family's legacy. In their arrogance, they'd forgotten the first rule of power. Never underestimate the one you're trying to destroy. Sir? Kayla appeared. Andrea Hart from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit is here about the offshore accounts. Show her in. Zach straightened his tie. Time to begin rebuilding from their ashes. The federal courthouse buzzed with anticipation as Judge Eleanor Martinez reviewed the final settlement documents. 3 months of legal battles had culminated in this moment. In the matter of Aguirre Environmental Solutions, Judge Martinez adjusted her glasses. The court has reviewed all evidence regarding environmental violations. Mr. Poole, your client's plea bargain is rejected. Troy Poole, now facing disbarment proceedings himself, shifted uncomfortably. Your Honor, the Aguirres have offered full cooperation. After attempting to destroy evidence and transfer assets, Francis Valenzuela interjected. The surveillance footage clearly shows them shredding documents minutes before the EPA raid. Richard and Marina Aguirre sat deflated in tailored suits that looked suddenly cheap. Their social circles had evaporated, their charitable foundation dissolved. The court orders full restitution of $47 million. Judge Martinez continued. Furthermore, all company ownership rights are transferred to Zachary Aguirre, effective immediately. In the adjacent courtroom, David faced his own reckoning. Judge Thompson's voice carried through the walls. 7 years federal prison, Mr. Aguirre. The environmental crimes alone warrant this sentence. Your multiple instances of fraud and tax evasion make it lenient. David, his designer suit replaced by prison orange, finally lost his smooth facade. This is persecution. Uncle Richard, tell them. Silence. Judge Thompson thundered. Your uncle's testimony helped build this case against you. Perhaps you should have considered that before betraying your family's legacy. Gabriella's divorce hearing proceeded simultaneously on the floor above. Judge Sarah Chin reviewed the prenup evidence. Mrs. Aguirre, this court finds your attempts to modify the prenuptial agreement constitute fraud. You forfeit all claims to marital assets. But I have nothing. Gabriella protested, her Chanel suit a poor shield against justice. The Swiss accounts are frozen, the Paris apartment seized. Perhaps you should have considered that before committing perjury about the paternity test, her own lawyer muttered. Michelle Wilson testified next, her boardroom authority lending weight to each word. The company's environmental licenses have been reinstated under new management. Mr. Zachary Aguirre's leadership has already restored client confidence. The stock price ticker outside the courthouse showed Aguirre Environmental Solutions climbing steadily. 3 major clients had renewed their contracts that morning. The court recognizes the company's restructuring plan, Judge Martinez announced. Full control transfers to Zachary Aguirre, with oversight from the approved board members. Francis organized the victory systematically. Criminal charges secured? David, 7 years federal prison. Parents, asset forfeiture and house arrest. Environmental violations? Settled with full restitution and enhanced compliance programs. Ownership structure? Complete transfer to Zach. Board approved. Reporters swarmed the courthouse steps as David was led to a prison transport. His Vancouver wife confronted him publicly, their children watching from a safe distance. You abandoned us for what? She demanded. A Paris fantasy with a yoga instructor? How's that working out? Gabriella emerged next, mascara streaked despite her attempted dignity. The trainer scandal had destroyed her social standing even before the paternity results leaked. Ms. Fink, a reporter called, using her restored maiden name. Any comment on your former in-law's testimony against you? She hurried past, clutching her knockoff handbag. Her last attempt to access the frozen accounts had triggered additional fraud investigations. Inside, Richard and Marina faced their son for the first time since sentencing. The family estate, Marina began, is mine now, Zach cut her off. Along with the company you tried to steal. Consider your modest retirement home an act of mercy. Son, Richard attempted, we never meant to get caught, to destroy everything our family built. Save it for your court-mandated therapy sessions. Francis approached with final documents. The restructuring's complete. You now own controlling interest in all subsidiaries. The board meets tomorrow to approve your new environmental initiatives. Michelle Wilson joined them. Her own divorce finalized that morning. Major clients are responding well to our enhanced compliance programs. The stock's up 12%. And David's other families? The support foundation is set up. They'll receive fair compensation. Zach surveyed the courthouse lobby, watching his parents shuffle toward their monitored freedom, David en route to prison, and Gabriella facing her newly empty life. The family legacy? Francis asked quietly. Needs rebuilding. Zach straightened his tie. On a foundation of actual integrity this time, the newly renovated headquarters of Aguirre Environmental Solutions gleamed in the morning sun. Glass walls displayed the company's restored stock prices and environmental achievement awards. In the executive boardroom, Zach presented their latest initiative to enthusiastic investors. Our breakthrough cleaning technology has reduced toxic waste by 80% in previously contaminated sites. He highlighted the data. The EPA has certified all 12 locations as fully restored. Janet Shin, now promoted to Global Operations Director, added, Asian markets are responding exceptionally well. 3 major corporations have signed exclusive contracts. The stock hit a new high this morning, Marcus Rodriguez reported, up 200% from the crisis. Our environmental leadership awards have restored public confidence. Michelle Wilson, who declined David's prison visitation requests, managed investor relations with renewed vigor. The press can't get enough of our restoration projects. Communities are celebrating their cleaned-up landscapes. A gentle knock interrupted them. Andrea Hart from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit entered, her professional demeanor softened by a warm smile. The Victim Compensation Foundation is ready to launch, she announced. We've identified all affected parties from David's schemes. Zach nodded appreciatively. Their weekly meetings about the foundation had evolved into dinner discussions about justice and renewal. Vancouver family's eldest starts college next fall, Andrea continued. The education fund's in place. Los Angeles girlfriend's baby will have full medical coverage. What about Chicago? Michelle asked, her own healing evident in her concern for David's other victims. Ex-wife's art gallery opened last week. The foundation's small business grant made it possible. The intercom buzzed. Sir, Lawrence Hart's team has finished upgrading the compliance systems. Violet Dawson hurried in with quarterly reports. Environmental initiatives are exceeding projections. Client confidence is at record levels. Speaking of confidence, Janet smiled. The International Environmental Council called. They're presenting you with their leadership award next month. Zach accepted the news modestly, but Andrea noticed his quiet satisfaction. They discussed how true victory meant more than punishment. It meant building something better from the ruins. The foundation needs a director, Andrea mentioned casually. Someone who understands both business and compassion. Before Zach could respond, Kayla entered with breaking news. Marla Petty's relocation is complete. Small-town bookstore, fresh start, just as planned. And Gabriella? Michelle couldn't resist asking. Teaching yoga at a suburban studio, Kayla reported. Quite a change from her Paris dreams. The trainer found someone else, apparently. Marcus pulled up real estate photos. Your parents' retirement home is modest but comfortable. The monitoring system works perfectly. Troypool's disbarment is official, Francis added, entering with fresh contracts. He's filing for bankruptcy. Turns out legal ethics matter. Andrea studied Zach's expression as he processed these updates. His ruthlessness in pursuit of justice had impressed her, but it was his commitment to rebuilding that drew her closer. The new family traditions you mentioned, she began. Start tonight, he finished. Dinner at that quiet Italian place? Unless you're busy with more financial criminals? Their subtle smile spoke volumes. The boardroom's atmosphere shifted, acknowledging this glimpse of their leader's personal renewal. The environmental compliance seminar starts in 10, Kayla reminded them. Executives from 12 companies are waiting. They're eager to learn from our enhanced protocols, Janet added. Your opening speech about corporate integrity has them intrigued. Zach gathered his materials, sharing a meaningful glance with Andrea. Let's show them how real environmental leadership works. As they headed to the seminar, Michelle touched his arm. I heard from the Chicago family. Their daughter made honor roll. The foundation will match her college fund, he decided immediately. Every victim deserves a fresh start. Francis appeared with more good news. EPA's quarterly review, perfect scores across all sites. They're using our cleanup model as their new standard. The afternoon sun caught the new company logo, a phoenix rising from corporate ashes. Below it, the words environmental integrity shown in bold letters. Quite a change from a year ago, Andrea observed, falling into step beside him. Good changes, Zach agreed. Built on truth this time. The seminar room filled with eager executives while Andrea slipped into a back row. She watched Zach command the room with authentic authority, teaching others to prioritize environmental responsibility over quick profits. This, she thought, is how legacies should be rebuilt. 1 year later, the Seattle Environmental Leadership Summit buzzed with anticipation. Industry leaders gathered to witness Aguirre Environmental Solutions receive its unprecedented 5th consecutive Compliance Excellence Award. Under Zachary Aguirre's leadership, EPA Director Thompson announced, toxic waste removal efficiency has improved 300%. Their innovative technology has become the global standard. The audience rose in standing ovation as Zach approached the podium. Andrea watched from the front row, her FBI credentials replaced by the Foundation Director's badge she'd accepted 6 months ago. Environmental responsibility isn't just corporate rhetoric, Zach addressed the crowd. It's a commitment we prove daily in every community we serve. Screens displayed before and after images of restored landscapes. Children played in parks that were once contaminated zones. Local news clips showed families returning to clean neighborhoods. Janet Chun presented their Asia-Pacific expansion results. 30 new contracts, each exceeding environmental standards by 200%. Our Tokyo office leads the region in sustainable practices. Marcus Rodriguez followed with European operations data. The Paris branch, he paused, acknowledging the irony, now hosts the EU's Environmental Training Center. In the audience, Michelle Wilson sat with David's Vancouver family. Their oldest son, now a college freshman studying environmental science, had earned the first Foundation Merit Scholarship. The victim support program has exceeded expectations, Andrea reported during her segment. 100% college acceptance rate for affected families' children. 12 new small businesses launched. 3 community centers opened. Security footage from a suburban strip mall briefly flashed on screen. Gabriella teaching yoga to half-empty classes, her designer dreams replaced by discount athleisure. The audience's knowing murmurs reflected zero sympathy. From our federal correctional facility correspondent, Michelle whispered to Zach, David's attempt to teach business ethics to fellow inmates was poorly received. Frances Valenzuela, orchestrating legal compliance from her new boardroom position, shared hard data. 0 violations across all operations. Every audit passed with distinction. The Aguirre Protocol is now standard language in environmental contracts. A discreet alert on Zach's phone showed his parents' retirement home check-in. Richard and Marina Aguirre's monitored existence continued in their modest apartment, their social calendar empty except for mandatory therapy sessions. Troy Poole was spotted bussing tables, Kayla murmured, placing updated statistics on the podium. Turns out disbarred lawyers have limited career options. The summit's closing ceremony featured International Environmental Agency Director Chun. The Aguirre Foundation's work transforming corporate culture sets new standards. Their support for education, small business, and community restoration demonstrates how companies should address past wrongs. Violet Dawson, now Chief Financial Officer, displayed the final quarterly results. The stock price had tripled, client satisfaction reached record highs, and employee retention topped industry charts. Marla Petty sends regards, Andrea mentioned during a quiet moment. Her small-town bookstore just added a coffee shop. She's found peace away from the spotlight. The evening concluded with the Foundation's new initiative announcement. Andrea took the stage, her quiet authority silencing the room. Today we launch the Corporate Integrity Institute, she revealed, teaching businesses to prioritize ethics over profit, environmental responsibility over quick gains, making sure no other families suffer from corporate betrayal. Later, at their favorite Italian restaurant, Zach and Andrea reviewed the day's achievements. Their wedding plans, kept private from the media, would reflect the same integrity they demanded professionally. The Chicago family's daughter made Dean's List, Andrea shared. She's interning with our environmental science division this summer. Perfect candidate for the mentorship program, Zach agreed. Building futures instead of destroying them. The restaurant's TV briefly showed David being denied parole. His prison jumpsuit had replaced designer suits, his smooth charm erased by hard time. Your cousin's Vancouver wife just earned her MBA, Andrea noted. The foundation's education grants work wonders. Speaking of wonders, Zach smiled. The community center in that cleaned-up neighborhood opens tomorrow. Ready to cut the ribbon, Mrs. Soon-to-be Aguirre? Andrea's answer was interrupted by late-breaking news. The International Environmental Council had named Aguirre Solutions Rehabilitation Program Project of the Decade. Quite a legacy, Andrea observed. The right one this time, Zach agreed, his ruthless pursuit of justice tempered by genuine commitment to restoration. As Seattle's lights glittered outside, they reviewed their shared vision: environmental integrity, corporate responsibility, and healing for betrayal's victims. The phoenix had risen, stronger and wiser, from familial ashes. The final revelations played across various channels. Gabriella struggled to fill yoga classes in her suburban studio. David marked prison days on a stark cell wall. Richard and Marina adapted to life without social status. Troy Poole's bankruptcy proceedings continued in small claims court, and Marla Petty found unexpected joy in her small-town rebirth. They thought wealth meant power, Zach reflected. They learned integrity matters more, Andrea finished. Their quiet dinner continued, a victory meal seasoned with justice served and futures secured. Outside, the restored landscape stretched toward tomorrow, proof that some betrayals lead to better beginnings. Epilogue. 10 years after the scandal that shattered Seattle's elite Aguirre family, life had dealt its verdicts with poetic justice. Gabriella Fink taught her sparsely attended yoga classes at the Serenity Mind and Body Studio, tucked between a discount liquor store and a pawn shop in suburban Tacoma. Her once flawless face showed the strain of failed ambitions. The Louis Vuitton luggage she'd packed for Paris now gathered dust in her cramped one-bedroom apartment above the studio. And breathe into child's pose, she instructed her 3 students, her voice lacking the confidence that once charmed Seattle's social circles. The diamond bracelet David had given her, proven fake like his promises, had long since been pawned to cover rent. Her phone buzzed with another rejected job application. No prestigious fitness center would touch her after the scandal. The trainer Derek, who'd fathered her child, had married a younger instructor years ago. Their successful franchise of CrossFit gyms across Seattle served as a constant reminder of what she'd lost. Her 10-year-old son, raised on child support from a reluctant Derek, showed no interest in meeting the man who'd once claimed to be his father. David's name brought only shame. In the federal correctional institution, David Aguirre's 7th parole hearing ended like all others, denied. His attempted business ethics lectures to fellow inmates had become a running joke. 3 more years remained on his sentence, extended for bad behavior and failed manipulation schemes. Inmate Aguirre, the parole board chairman noted, your continued attempts to orchestrate financial schemes from prison demonstrate zero rehabilitation. His multiple families had flourished without him. His Vancouver ex-wife's environmental consulting firm, built with foundation support, now advised major corporations. Their children, graduated from prestigious universities, worked in environmental protection, a fitting irony. The Los Angeles girlfriend had married a tech executive, her foundation-supported therapy practice helping other victims of manipulation. His Chicago ex-wife's art gallery showcased environmental awareness pieces, their daughter leading youth advocacy programs. Richard and Marina Aguirre lived quietly in their monitored retirement community, their social media obsession replaced by court-mandated therapy. They watched from afar as their former friends attended galas they once hosted. Their charitable foundation's mission, now led by Andrea Hart Aguirre, stood as testament to how power should serve community. Troy Poole, the disbarred lawyer, managed a small-town diner after bankruptcy consumed his assets. His legal ethics violations became a cautionary tale at law schools. Marla Petty found unexpected happiness in her small coastal town bookstore. The coffee shop edition thrived, her book club's environmental awareness series drawing passionate locals. Her testimony against David, initially seen as betrayal, had freed her from toxic family obligations. Michelle Wilson's environmental compliance consulting firm set industry standards. Her experience with David's deceptions helped other companies prevent similar frauds. She'd remarried, her new husband's integrity a stark contrast to David's manipulation. At Aguirre Environmental Solutions' 20th floor headquarters, Zach reviewed the decade's achievements with his executive team. The company's market value had increased tenfold. Their cleanup technology had restored ecosystems worldwide. The London office reports complete rehabilitation of the Thames Industrial Zone. Janet Chin, now global president, announced. Ahead of schedule and under budget. Marcus Rodriguez, heading European operations from the Paris office David once coveted, shared record profits. The EU Environmental Council had adopted the Aguirre standards across member nations. Violet Dawson's financial stewardship had earned industry accolades. Her whistleblowing against David became a Harvard Business School case study in corporate ethics. Kayla Harper, promoted to chief of staff, managed the company's expanding influence with quiet efficiency. Her loyalty during the crisis had set a standard for corporate culture. Francis Valenzuela's legal frameworks for environmental compliance influenced international law. Her prosecution of David-shaped corporate fraud legislation. Lawrence Hart's security firm, retained permanently after the scandal, developed cutting-edge corporate fraud prevention systems. His surveillance footage of David's crimes trained law enforcement agencies. In their restored Seattle Hilltop home, Zach and Andrea Hart Aguirre reviewed foundation achievements over breakfast. Their twin daughters, future environmental scientists, inherited their parents' commitment to integrity. The Vancouver family's youngest graduated summa cum laude, Andrea noted. Environmental law at Yale. Perfect timing, Zach replied. The Foundation's Legal Justice Initiative launches next quarter. The Foundation had grown beyond victim support into a global force for corporate responsibility. Its Corporate Integrity Institute trained executives worldwide. Environmental justice programs restored communities David's crimes had endangered. Their phones buzzed simultaneously, news alerts about David's latest parole denial. Andrea smiled, remembering how investigating his financial crimes had led her to Zach. He claimed the yoga instructor visits stopped because of scheduling, she read aloud. Not because Gabriella can't afford the gas to drive to the prison. Zach's ruthless pursuit of justice had transformed into strategic philanthropy. The company's Environmental Leadership Awards filled walls once decorated with false family loyalty. Sarah Chin, now EPA director, had lunch plans with them to discuss next-generation cleanup technology. The regulatory standards they developed after David's fraud became international benchmarks. The day's schedule showed back-to-back meetings, foundation scholarship reviews, environmental initiative launches, corporate ethics seminars. Their legacy of integrity attracted global leaders seeking similar transformation. Late afternoon brought updates from their global monitoring system. Gabriella's studio missed another rent payment. David's prison counselor reported continued manipulation attempts. Richard and Marina attended mandatory community service. Troy Pool's diner struggled with health code violations. Marla's bookstore won a small business award. The evening charity gala celebrated environmental restoration in communities David's crimes had poisoned. Victim families shared success stories. Former employees praised the corporate culture that replaced toxic family loyalty. Their daughters presented research on next-generation environmental technology, proving integrity passed down generations. The audience included scientists, executives, and government leaders, people drawn to authentic achievement rather than David's hollow charm. A decade ago, Zach addressed the gathering. Betrayal taught us that true legacy isn't inherited. It's built through integrity, sustained by truth, and measured by positive impact. Andrea added, the foundation exists because healing matters more than vengeance. Every victim family's success dismantles the power of past betrayals. The Seattle skyline glittered beyond windows that had once witnessed family destruction. Now they framed a future built on genuine environmental leadership and corporate responsibility. In his prison cell, David marked time on walls that wouldn't see freedom for 3 more years. His Paris dreams had dissolved into concrete reality. The cousin he'd betrayed had transformed family shame into global respect. Gabriella's last student canceled as she cleared the studio, her designer yoga wear replaced by discount brands. The trainer who'd fathered her son drove past in his luxury SUV, not glancing at the failed studio that showcased her fall. The foundation's quarterly report showed 100% college graduation rate for victim families. Dozens of successful small businesses launched. Communities restored from environmental damage. Corporate ethics programs internationally adopted. Healing programs touching thousands of lives. The Aguirre legacy, redefined through integrity rather than inheritance, stood as testimony that justice serves best when it creates rather than merely destroys. Every victory over betrayal's aftermath proved character matters more than charisma, truth outweighs charm, and genuine achievement survives when false facades crumble. As night fell over Seattle, the restored landscapes stretched toward tomorrow. The company's environmental innovations promised cleaner futures. The foundation's work ensured that from betrayal's ashes, something finer grew. Zach and Andrea reviewed their daughter's university applications, environmental science at top schools. The next generation would build on lessons learned from family destruction, creating legacies anchored in truth rather than treachery. The final news alert showed David in Prison Orange, gray-haired and bitter, facing 3 more years of consequences. Gabriella locking her failed studio, returning to her small apartment above shops that thrived while she struggled. Richard and Marina at mandatory therapy, their social power replaced by supervised humility. A decade of justice served proved that karma, like environmental damage, eventually demands its due. But healing, like restored landscapes, offers hope for better tomorrows. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.